Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. My name is FPL Phillips and this is your Game Week 33 installment of Eddie versus the Algorithm. Well, we've got a quick turnaround and so we're coming to you on a Tuesday morning for a change with Eddie versus the Algo. Let's not mess around anyway, shall we? And have a look at quickly how we got on in Game Week 32 before we get into having a look at the Game Week 33 lineups for both myself and the computer as we once again take on each other in this intense battle to see who is better at FPL, myself or a computer machine. And in Game Week 32, it was a rather close contest with neither of us scoring magnificently well. I did see some scores definitely higher than what myself and the Algorithm registered in Game Week 32, which was, of course, a popular week for the free hit anyway amongst top managers. The Algorithm scored 68 points with the team that you can see on screen right now. Neto in goal, bit of a disappointment with 2 points when you see that some people going with Johnston, getting a nice 10-point haul there as Crystal Palace kept a clean sheet against Everton. Trent and Robertson did okay in the defence. Mitchell also as well coming in with that Crystal Palace clean sheet one way into the back line. Algorithm went with him. Didn't turn out to be as strong as going with Johnston, but it's clean sheet nonetheless. In midfield, Elise was the only letdown really. Saka and Martinelli came through. Mohamed Salah with a return with his goal as well. And then up front, going with Ivan Toney did prove to actually be the deciding factor between the two sides. Watkins and Jesus blanked, but Toney's 9 points meant that the Algorithm actually managed to outscore me. I got 66 points in Game Week 32, so the 2 points made the difference. So 9 from Toney, up against the 10 from Johnston I already got. It was enough to prove the distance, given that I went with Solanke. It made the difference, I should say. Martinelli, Saka, I went Eze over Elise midfield. Ended up not making much difference there at all. Eze having a goal ruled out was definitely frustrating with him in my side. Was a little bit closer to going with Castagna in defence, went with Alex Moreno instead, who was about to get subbed off before Ivan Toney scored the goal that gave the Algorithm the win, so he would have had clean sheets points banked as well. Overall, some very slim margins and some fine differences did in fact make the deciding factor in Game Week 32, and that meant the Algorithm pulled it back to make it 14 apiece in the series, so we are neck and neck heading into the final 5 game weeks of the season. So it's going to be very intense. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you can follow along and see who comes out on top. Given that there's no going to be any draws, we will have a winner at the end of the season. Let's get into Game Week 33 anyway and see how the Algorithm team is lining up. And if you are enjoying the series so far and enjoying today's episode, then make sure to slap a thumbs up on the video. It really does help us out here at Fantasy Football Fix. And the Algorithm has a predicted points total of 61 so far. So hopefully, if you're looking for any transfer targets or just are interested in what this free hit team is going to be looking like, you'll be interested in some of the players in this computer-generated side. Let's see who has gone with in goal. In between the sticks is going to be Nick Pope this week as Newcastle face Everton at Goodison Park. It's going to be rather of a tough fixture. I think Newcastle, we can see the difference between them at home versus them on the road. They have shipped a few more goals away from home than they have at Newcastle as of late. So I think Pope is still nonetheless a really good option, perhaps not as good as he would have been in the return fixture if Newcastle were the home side. But I still think going with Newcastle defensive assets is a great pick this week. We can't really go for many of these Arsenal and Man City defenders with them facing each other. Man United and Tottenham also not got many defensive options to choose from this week. Not that you'd want Tottenham defenders against anyone, but Man United assets with them having injuries as well. There aren't too many big teams who have defensive picks that you look like you really want in your teams at the moment. But Newcastle are probably one exception to that side, to their sides. Pope looks really good. I think Fabian Schär and Trippier are probably the only two assets you would want to have over him. In defence then, we are probably going to see one of those assets, and we are indeed. Kieran Trippier does come into the back three alongside Estepinian of Brighton and then Trent Alexander-Arnold of Liverpool. Trent in his new role does look fantastic at the moment. It's definitely a priority transfer in ahead of Liverpool's Game Week 34 double. So looking to have him in for that week. I don't think he's essential to have in for this West Ham fixture, but he's looking good, and I'm sure he can get a monster haul. One of these 15-pointers he seems to come up with every summer. What game weeks used to be more frequent, but now, we're not seeing them as much. Maybe this will be the week against West Ham, and then he'll do crap in the double. So we have to see whether he's going to do well. I think you've got to back him really. Even at that price point, he's going to be a fantastic option in Game Week 33, going up against West Ham, who Did come off the back of a 4-0 win against Bournemouth, let's not forget there, but you still have to back Liverpool in that game as they take a visit to the London Stadium. We've then got Estepinian away at Nottingham Forest, who are another team that are better at home, so we've got 4 away fixtures for the defensive assets in this side, which you wouldn't normally back, but I can see why the algorithm has made exceptions here. Estepinian and Brighton have looked really good. They look attacking-wise one of the best sides in the league, and Estepinian has been the focal point of a number of those attacks. He does look the best attacking-wise of all the defensive options, so I can see why the algorithm's gone with him, especially with some stipulation up in the air as to whether who's going to be in goal for Brighton at the moment. Sanchez is back. Had a really good showing, you'd have to say, in the semi-final of the FA Cup against Man United. Steele has had this little bit of an injury, so De Zerbi's got a decision to make. Which goalkeeper is he going to go with? Whilst we don't know, going with an outfield defender, and Estepinian looks the best bet. In midfield, we're going to see a midfield four of Mohamed Salah. Then we've got Jacob Ramsey alongside the other 2 Brighton assets in this team in Solly March and Mitoma. March will be hoping that penalty miss in the shootout doesn't play on his confidence too much, and I don't really expect him to. He looked fantastic in that game. He's looked brilliant in the league, as has his teammate Mitoma, so I can see why the algorithm has gone with them. Having said that, McAllister should probably be back to his more attacking role with the return of Veltman to the Brighton side, meaning that Enciso could potentially even start up front. The young Brighton lad, 19 years old, 4.6 million, registered as a forward in FPL, could actually be an option, but at the moment I think there are probably better and safer triple ups of Brighton assets to have, as they've got 3 double game weeks left this season. We want to have the optimal triple up in our sides. Mohamed Salah looks a really good option, as does Jacob Ramsey. Home to Fulham, I really like that as a differential pick. He's got a number of goals in the last couple of game weeks, and I'm assuming he's going to be paired up with his teammate Ollie Watkins up front. Highest predicted points, he's very much up there in the top 3 for predicted points this game week. He looks fantastic, and Fulham haven't looked brilliant defensively, although they have looked decent over the last couple of weeks. Erling Haaland going up against Arsenal does take the captain's armband, and Harry Kane does still make it into this team despite how woeful Spurs looked against Newcastle. He still managed to grab a goal in that game, and somehow at the moment Sir Harold seems to always get it done. On the bench this week is going to be Mings, Bednarek, and then Andreas. So a few interesting options there. Not sure I'll be going with Bednarek, but Mings, Fulham at home, doesn't look too bad of a fixture for Aston Villa. And that's my thinking actually behind going with, once again, I'm doing the same thing over and over and hoping for different results, I guess you could say. But it's only been 1 week of blanks for him. That's a bit harsh. Alex Moreno is in my side. I've gone with a back 4. Kept the entire rest of the back line. I appreciate that's probably a bit boring for you guys watching who want some more exciting picks, but I just do think this is the best defence that you can have this week. I've then dropped Ramsey from the midfield, so I'm basically betting against Ramsey and hoping that Alex Moreno can outscore him with that clean sheet potential. Moreno's great for attacking data as well. I know Ramsey will have more chance of a goal and clean sheet, but of an assist, I should say, not clean sheets. But I do think that Moreno has a little more upside and more haul potential in him. And then up front, the only other change I've made, I've gone for Alexander Isak over going with Harry Kane. I think Manchester United will do well against Spurs. Can Kane keep up this consistency? You'd have to say I'm an idiot if I would say no. I think he could easily grab a goal in that game. But Isak and Newcastle have looked brilliant. I know there's early subs that can affect Isak's minutes. Wilson coming in. But I think that even in the limited minutes, if he gets 60 or 70, he could do some serious damage away at Goodison Park, and Newcastle could be on for another great result in there as they fight for a place in the Champions League spots. On the bench, I've got Marcus Rashford. I've then got Ramsey there anyway, and I've got Totti, so I've got some big players on the bench. I'm just a little bit hesitant to go with Manchester United assets. If they're going to be without some of those key defenders and then potentially Bruno Fernandes in midfield as well, perhaps puts me enough to go with the other assets you can see in this team this week. So it's going to be fine margins again, with the teams looking very, very similar. Part of me wanted to go with a differential captain, maybe just go for Watkins, but who am I kidding? I'm going to be captaining Erling Haaland myself. I'm not going to suggest anything else in this team what I'm going to share with you guys. But yeah, let me know down below in the comments. There's only 2 differences, Moreno and Isak up against Kane and, Ramsey in the algorithm team. So let me know, just basically, who do you think is going to outscore out of those pairings? Who is going to come out on top in game week 33? As mentioned, if you enjoyed the video, please do leave a thumbs up. It really helps us out. But other than that, I'll wish you the best of luck for game week 33. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.